Hello music lovers, thanks for visiting my channel. My name is Caeser Pink.
Let your mama down. Let your mama down. Let your mama down. Baby, please.
Today we're going to listen to a song by Boggs called Pretty Polly, and our guest is musician, multimedia artist, filmmaker Jon Mertz. And before we get started, all the proceeds from this channel are donated to the Arete Living Arts Foundation. The mission of Arete Living Arts is to create and promote artists whose work inspires personal, political, or spiritual awakening. So please like and subscribe. That really helps us grow the channel. If you want to do more, you can join our Patreon page or make a tax-deductible donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description below. But this is a song that Jon chose. I've never heard it. So tell me a little bit about, let's start with the artist. What do you know about him?
Well, Doc Boggs was a uneducated white guy, worked most of his life in a coal mine, lived in the mountains of Virginia, the Clinch Mountains. He lived in a town called Norton, which is very near where the Stanley Brothers are from. And there's a lot of other music from that part of the woods that has soaked into the greater culture. I chose this one because when I listen to a record, I always wonder, why did they make this record? What was the purpose? Were people going to dance to it? Were they going to listen to it and be creeped out by it? Were they going to be upset by it? It's really hard to say, but it attracts me to things like this that are not just smooth and.
Do you think at this time there could have been any commercial reward for recording this?
If you look into the recording industry, especially country music and blues, they started as an offshoot of cabinet makers. Cabinet makers, was an industry that they built coffins and they built furniture for your house, but generally they were always looking for something else to put on the market that everybody needed. And when radios came out, and about the same time when record players came out, they were always in big wooden cabinets. So the main purpose of the whole endeavor was to sell cabinets.
Interesting.
And the records were just an afterthought.
Huh.
And so,
I mean, those old record players looked like tall cabinets.
Yeah.
As soon as you said, it took me a few minutes, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why you have so much stuff going on in the 20s and the 30s where, for instance, I believe with Blind Willie McTell, they made a record of his and it sold like crazy to black audiences. Now, the guys that ran the record company were back in New York. They didn't go down there and do it. They just said, what do they want? When they, had a major success with a blind artist, they sent talent scouts down to hire all the blind artists they could find. There were some that weren't that good.
Yeah. It's funny, that seems like music industry thinking. You know, instead of thinking about the music, it's like, he's blind, let's get the blind artist.
That always happens.
Oh yeah.
When the Beatles hit, it's like, get everybody with the same haircut.
Yeah, yeah. But
Anyway, so this would be something that would be sold locally. But this is when country music was developing.
Yeah.
At that time period, because the different industries were at cross purposes, the what got recorded wasn't quite as well thought out as it would be today. They just tried stuff, and so it ended up with there being this underbelly of this weirdness from the 20s and 30s that, you know, we were talking off camera about Harry Smith's Anthology of American Folk Music, and I think those songs are one, as a matter of fact. But the attraction at that time was that these seemed like recordings from another planet and another time. And it was hard to imagine that the people who recorded these were still alive. The guy we're talking about here, and I guess we should listen to pretty soon, is Doc Boggs. As a young man, he played the banjo and got in trouble a good bit, but he was known for playing the banjo, and in his hometown he played dances a lot. So I want you to recall that when you're listening to him, think this was dance music. But again, it brings me to the question of, like, why did they record this and what is it?
To be a rambler, I stayed around in town. I used to be a rambler, I stayed around in town. I courted pretty Polly, and the beauty's never been found. Pretty Polly, oh yonder she stands.
Oh Polly, pretty Polly, would you take me unkind? Polly, pretty Polly, would you take me unkind? Sit beside me and tell me you're mine.
Well, my mind is to marry, never to part. My mind is to marry and never to part. The first time I saw you, you wanted my heart.
That's just an example of how that particular song was modernized. That's Dr. Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys, and they all grew up around where Doc Boggs did, and when they were kids, they probably heard old Doc
Yeah.
up in the holler somewhere playing.
My first reaction was Ralph Stanley has such a unique voice. Like, as soon as you hear it, if you know him, you know that.
And it's traceable back to Doc Boggs.
Although when the female singer started singing, I thought, like, I guess that vocal style is more bluegrass.
Yeah.
And to me that sounded like very different than what Doc Boggs was doing melodically.
And yeah, I mean, that's all very valid. I think that's probably more into the deep weeds of bluegrass than we want to go in this particular show, but that's very true. This is a bluegrass arrangement of, I don't know what the original would be called. It's not bluegrass that I've ever heard. It's just a banjo.
Yeah.
Minor key banjo.
Now, we read that Doc Boggs lived to 1971. He born in 98 or something.
Yeah, he made records in 1927 and 1929. And then the Great Depression hit, and I think he got in some legal trouble at home too. He was kind of a hellraiser, and so he ended up going back to his job in the coal mine and working in a coal mine the rest of his life. When he retired in 1966, there was a lot of interest stirred up by Harry Smith's Anthology of American Folk Music. I think that's this one.
And the modern, what then was like a modern folk revival was happening.
Yes, that was happening at the time. So people's ears were open for things like that. And Doc came back as an old man and played those songs, and they sounded just as creepy and weird.
I wonder if there's any video footage of him performing live in the time.
I believe there is.
Let's see if we can get some quick.
I'm gonna play country blues. Man here a while ago was saying that he didn't have no money, but now praying about. I've experienced it. I've lived a long time.
And what's interesting, he's wearing like a white shirt and tie.
He looks just like my grandpa. My grandpa ran a grocery store, and he dressed like that every day.
I used to be a rounder, I stayed around in town. I used to be a rambler, I stayed around in town. I courted pretty Paul, and such beauty's never been found. Pretty Polly, oh yonder church.
One of the things I think is interesting from that type of music is that there are certain notes, and maybe they're like blue notes, but they hold them out and they lay on them so flat. Da, da, da.
You know, I spent some time going down to this part of the country and listening to a lot of music from there, and a lot of that came from the church and what they call shape singing.
Huh.
They didn't allow instruments in church. They just allowed vocal music, and there was a particular way of writing it down, which is sort of lost now, but there's still people in the hills back there that sing like that. And that's definitely some of the things where the melody line twists around, you know. It's like,
Well, what surprised me is how there's like no vibrato on that note, you know what I mean? And it just lays there, and you know, it's long. It's very interesting vocal technique. You'd never hear anybody do like that now. Well, that was all very interesting. Thanks for introducing me to that. That was Doc Boggs, if you want to look into that a little more. And thank you, John. And thanks for visiting my channel. If you have any questions or thoughts or information you want to share, comment below, and hope to see you soon.